Let's start by looking at the definition and purpose of measuring experiences. Measuring is the first step where organizations start putting the ITXM framework into practice. This step aligns with the ITIL4 guiding principle of start where you are. Start by measuring to understand the truth of what your end users are experiencing so that you can identify how to get closer to where you need to be. As you measure, the data you get forms a starting point for you and your team to think about where and how to improve, driving positive change in IT based on data-informed insight. To be successful at measuring, the following elements need to be in place. First, end-user feedback needs to be continuous, with data captured every day, not once a year or in an ad hoc manner. Measuring experience once a year is like checking the weather outside today and expecting that it will be the same every day of the year. Continuous measurement gives you insight into how end-user experience is changing over time, giving IT the real-time data that you need to drive resource allocation and prioritize improvement needs. Next, feedback needs to be captured at the right time, when people are having their experiences, not much later. For ticket-based services, it is best practice to give users the opportunity to give feedback right when the incident has been resolved or right after the request has been fulfilled. For proactive IT areas, it is important to have a system of continuous measurement in place. Continuous measurement gives you visibility into how end-user experience evolves over time, rather than getting a snapshot of their experience in a single moment in time, like once a year, which could be affected by various external or temporary circumstances and does not give you the full picture. Next, experience measurement needs to be in context, such that it relates to what an end user is experiencing. This means connecting operational data from your ITSM tool or other data sources with experience data. Every experience with IT can involve both one or more processes, as well as different technical touchpoints. Having the context combined with the experience data helps you understand how people feel about the tools, services, and support they get in different areas of IT. Also, measure so that you get experience data which adds value. In other words, don't ask about what you already know, such as where your end users are located, their roles, the channels or services that they're giving feedback on. Instead, connect the contextual and operational information that you know with what you don't know, which is how end users feel about the experiences they're having with different IT areas. By connecting experience data with operational data, you'll make both kinds of data actionable for you when deciding how to focus on improving the areas where it matters most. Start to measure experience sooner rather than later, and measure before changes are made rather than after that. Sometimes IT can be hesitant to start measuring, especially in areas outside of ticket-based services, unless they know that they have the ability to act on the feedback right away. However, it can be a bit of a chicken and egg problem. Is it better to wait until you feel action can be taken immediately before starting to measure? Or is it better to start measuring first in order to make better decisions about what actions to take to improve? We believe the latter, as even if you can't act immediately, the continuous stream of historical data that you get in advance will be useful for planning and decision-making about future improvement actions. The other important aspect of measurement is starting before the changes are made. By establishing a baseline and measuring experiences beforehand, we can assess the impact of any changes that you make later and make informed decisions about which improvements have had an impact and which still need to be tweaked. It's tempting to wait till after bigger changes have occurred, like IT service partner change or a change in the software stack or a company merger before starting to measure, especially if IT is afraid that measuring early might produce red metrics. I hate to break it to you, but if your end users are having poor experiences, they're having them already, whether you are measuring it or not. The advantage of measuring early is that you get a baseline and understanding to date, even before you make changes, to understand what kinds of actions you should take to have the greatest impact on where end users are suffering the most. Now, let us look at what this means as you progress on your ITXM journey. We can think about measurement in two different tracks: scope, which is about who and what you measure, and quality, which is about measuring in a way that ensures you get reliable and actionable data. When it comes to scope, depending on the size and needs of your organization, It could be better for you to start with one IT area, such as ticket-based services, before expanding to multiple IT areas, including proactive ones like remote work, enterprise applications, or more. In future, you could even expand to other enterprise service management areas like HR or finance. You might also need to start off with a subsection of your employees, depending on how big your organization is, before expanding to measure your whole organization. When it comes to quality, the first thing to remember is to measure continuously, not in an ad hoc manner. This way, you'll be measuring the experiences when people are having them, and you'll get a continuous stream of experience data in real time. Putting in the work to maintain good data quality will also ensure that you get data that you, your IT team, and your stakeholders can all trust. We're at the end of this lesson, so quick recap. It is important to get experience data on a continuous basis and measure rather early than too late, as experiences are happening every day, whether you are measuring them or not. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this lesson.